worst case scenario. So, now the news out of the UK that bail-ins are coming there and no one has a choice and the public's going to hate it. It's just something to know about. Check out credit unions just so you have a choice. You can have both a bank and a credit union. You can set up a credit union account and like not touch it, just have it there in case you want it. But yeah, weird stuff is coming.
I mean, I think it's safe to say that this goes very deep, right? I mean, this isn't just a simple type of bankruptcy. Like, this bleeds deep into GameStop, multiple companies, multiple tickers and bankrupt, quote unquote, bankrupt companies that essentially were at the demise of some of these hedge funds. And now we're going to see things start to get interesting, man. I have a lot of faith in what's happening here with not only Ryan Cohen, but also Carl Icahn. These are two activist investors. One is an OG activist investor who is, I think today he's celebrating his 88th birthday today, Carl Icahn. Is that right? 88, I believe, is how old he is. He's celebrating his birthday. And then you have Ryan Cohen, who is essentially a younger type of guy, who's also happens to be a billionaire as well, and who also is an activist investor. And it's not too crazy to think that these two have come together to team up to possibly do something rather major. I mean, again, take into account, Carl Icahn and his history of activism, and then take into account Ryan Cohen. He's still early on into it. GameStop is one of his very first companies that he's essentially come in and tried to essentially turn around. So I think that we're looking at something that's gonna make history, fellas. I mean, this is truly the greatest fucking time to be alive, and this is what we're witnessing. I mean, again, I've said it so many times on the show. Imagine 50, 60 plus years ago investing into Berkshire Hathaway, like being a very early investor, and it's not too crazy to think in this day and age that we can see most certainly something like that take place. So again, with the right people, the right team, and the right money behind it, you can absolutely see these companies flourish.
Yeah, we're in the best place to be because right now with this inflation mess, this central banks and banks having crises, nobody ideally right now, the way things are, you don't want to just be sitting on cash. Like you said, PP, GME's not going to do nothing with that cash.
They have to do something with it.
Ryan Cohen has the authorization now to do something with that 1 billion. He's gonna do something. I'm sure he had a plan long ago. And having assets that don't dilute like the dollar, like fiat right now, we don't want dollars. We want assets that are gonna appreciate. So I really believe we are in the right play. And I honestly
100%.
believe like God and the universe have led each of us some weird way. I got here because of an injury and I had downtime and I had time to look and research and notice shit. So like I feel we've just been led here and it's an amazing opportunity. We don't have to just sit on cash and watch it just inflate. Well, this is so good, these shares we have.
Yeah, look at the timing, right? You have essentially this whole thing going on with GameStop, and they sit on this 1 billion of cash for over a year or two, or actually quite a while. I think since 2021. So nearly 3 years, they're sitting on over $1 billion in cash. They're not going to blow it all to buybacks. I think they have 100 or 200 million specifically set aside for buybacks, which I think that they will utilize. But the interesting thing is the timing, right? Like I'm always paying attention to everything that's going around us at the time. And what I've noticed is that we essentially see them sit on this 1 billion plus in cash for an acquisition that they've said that they want to use it for, right? We've seen even when Matt Furlong was still the CEO, we saw I can't remember which SEC filing it was, but there was over 100 plus mentions of merger or acquisition in that paperwork. So we know that they want to acquire something. The interesting thing is that as of December, GameStop can now come in as a quote unquote like hedge fund, and they can start buying up shares in stock and company. And this is a very different angle, in my opinion. I think that they've been waiting for this the entire time. Not only that, if this was in fact planned, it would make sense that they needed Ryan Cohen at the helm of GME to be able to pull something like this off. And now, essentially, that is what we're seeing. We see board members not buying the stock. We've known for a long time that board members, especially around these price levels, they absolutely would be buying, adding to their positions. We haven't seen any buy since very early September. And that leads me to believe that they certainly now have come to the conclusion that they are going to utilize this $1 billion in cash. If they were going to have a positive earnings, their earnings is what, towards the end of March. So I truly think that they could have easily bought shares in September, or they bought some shares in September, but they could have additionally bought shares in October, November, leading into December. Even with a positive earnings, or even with an EPS that's going to look good, that doesn't necessarily mean that the stock prices is going to significantly rise, right? I mean, we've seen essentially when GameStop was essentially quote unquote profitable, and their stock price proceeded to get shorted down and tank after. So, I don't think this is an earnings type of scenario that we're looking at with like why insiders not buying. I truly think that there 100%, in my opinion, is a merger and acquisition taking place, and it's going to happen a lot sooner than later based off of a lot of the insiders that are no longer buying GameStop. I mean, again, this is all the way back from September, man. This is nearly 5 fucking months they're not buying, nearly 6 months they're not buying the stock. People out there need to be questioning this shit. Why, right?
Yeah, it's not random. It's like Sal likes to say, it's strategic. I forget the other word he uses. It's very intentional what they're doing.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's amazing. Like, this is such a crazy, awesome opportunity we happen to be in.
Agreed. Yeah. Let's take it over to after party. After party, how are we doing tonight, man? Let's hear it. What's on your mind tonight, man? What's something great. You'd like to share, man? Let's hear it.
Hey, what's up, PP? What's up, Michael? ABC.
Good to see you, man.
Spurious. Yeah, it's just great. It's great to be here. First time on. So I can see in the chat everyone's kind of wondering what's going on with Sloppy Steaks. What's Sloppy doing right now?
Yeah, I think he pieced out for the weekend. What's on your mind after party? I mean, what are your thoughts about some of the stuff that's been going on, or what's something that you wanted to bring to our attention tonight, man? Let's hear it.
Well, you know what? I'm a holder of BBBY, like a lot of people on here. I've been following you since April, and I really just wanted to, cheers you and kind of have a little toast to everyone on a Friday night.
So right on.
That's all I'm here for.
All right, man.
Whatever your drink of choice might be, hold it up to PP and all the PPs. And cheers.
All right, right on, man. Cheers to after party, man. Let's get some love for after party in the chat. After party, appreciate having you on the show, man. And because it's your first time on the show, we do have to give you a dildo slap on the way out. So with that being said, after party, loved having you on the show, man. Enjoy the rest of the night. Enjoy the weekend. Enjoy that fucking drink, man. Chat, let's hear it for after party. All right, right on. You heard it from after party, man. Interesting. Spurious, you bring up some excellent fucking stuff, man. Again, I'm curious, where do you think Carl Icahn plays into kind of all of this stuff with what we've been speculating here?
I'm personally of the opinion that it might be part of, Carl's empire, part of his assets, but I think Brett is the one at the helm of this specific play.
So you think Brett is so you think that Carl's coming in with the money, and you think Brett is kind of engineering everything?
Yeah, I think I'm trying to think back about who kind of talked about it this way first, but that sort of deal, right? That sort of handshake deal they have, or whatever it is. I don't know. Maybe it's very, very written in black and white in a contract. I don't know. But there is definitely a deal where, Brett had like 10 years to make a certain amount of money, to make some kind of plays to show that he is ready, that he is capable of handling the massive empire that Carl has built over decades and decades. So I think that, this is Brett's play. This is his, stepping in, and he's going to be taking control. Carl is very sharp. I'm actually very impressed at how sharp Carl still is, considering his age. Like,
I know, it's fucking nuts, man.
That guy is a shark. He is a killer. He is a bull. Like, the stuff that I've seen him on interviews and stuff, the stuff that he accomplished, fucking Bill Ackman, like, that guy is very powerful, and he's got a very sharp mind. And I love the way he puts it. He says, I forget what he compares it to. He says, like, other people, they make their money some other way. I'm making my money off stupidity. Like, he looks around, he looks at the mismanaged bullshit, he looks at the BCGs who are literally advising companies into the ground, right, Michael? Like, he looks at this stuff and he says, well, that's stupid as fuck. Like, I could do it better.
And I wanted to bring up one. I wanted to bring up one thing too with Michael as well. Like, Michael, how our Carl Icahn is essentially, he's taking this position in JetBlue. Well, one thing I saw very interesting is that we know historically, right, with Carl Icahn, there was this huge feud with him and also what was his name from Herbalife? Ackman.
Bill Ackman. Yeah.
Bill Ackman, right? Well, funny thing is, what I saw is that that guy, One Bite, everybody knows the rules, Portnoy or whatever the fuck his name is.
David Portnoy.
Yeah, he's been talking a little bit about obviously Spirit, right? But the interesting thing is that he took a picture with Bill Ackman, out of all people, right? So there's been like a little bit of tinfoil that essentially Carl Icahn is coming into JetBlue, taking a position like 9%, and he's going to vote against potentially the merger between Spirit and JetBlue, because I believe and again, this is speculation, the thesis is basically that he believes that JetBlue is more valuable than what they would get, I guess, in terms of like a merger or something like that. I don't know if it's 100% true, if that's his angle, if he's coming into JetBlue to essentially like, rile up, the board, and, he has he has essentially put 2 independent directors on JetBlue. So I did find it very interesting that this feud between him and Bill Ackman, with Herbalife, and then now all of a sudden you're seeing Portnoy taking a picture with Bill Ackman, and then also Carl Icahn just is coming into JetBlue while these 2 companies are supposedly going under a merger in June. So I do find it very interesting, man, like what this whole like JetBlue angle is. And again, like, I've day traded a little bit. I don't really have a position in it. I just kind of and kind of, playing the market how one should on side plays, things like that. But what are your thoughts on that, Michael? And then Spurrier,
so that actually
and then
just
ABC, if you want to.
Reminded me. So Boeing acquired some company, and it was supposedly a really bad acquisition, because what happened was the number of shares that it gave when they bought it with shares, it gave the CEO of this smaller company that they acquired like a ton of shares. And so it ended up giving him actually a controlling interest of the company. And then he just became CEO because the acquisition, he had so many shares, and then he just kind of messed up the company. That was like back in the 80s, I think. And so it would make sense that if the market cap of JetBlue gets attacked, then it would take more shares in order to acquire Spirit, and whoever is a big holder of Spirit would end up then having a huge position in JetBlue and be able to then have an influence on the board. And so that might have been their play, was to, short JetBlue or whatever, so that the deal, because the buyout deal was for $3.8 billion, and the market cap of Spirit right now is like 700 million. And when they made that deal, JetBlue's market cap was a lot higher than it was, and it got pushed down. So there might be something there that Carl had to step in, and then just like, the same thing, I guess, with Icahn Enterprises, right? That his share, like if he was going to buy anything with shares, he would have to give away a bigger percentage of his company in order to make the same acquisition.
Yeah.
Well, what's interesting is that JetBlue just 4 years ago basically changed part of their business model and started to buy wider planes, and they actually started to get into the cargo space. So distribution and shipping.
Logistics.
Which is really cool because that kind of aligns with a lot of Carl's already present infrastructure, whether it be, trains and automobiles and now planes. So,
yeah.
Then they have Lego stores, and I think they're going to put Toys R Us in airports.
Yeah, it's happening. Yeah.
That's very interesting, man. Like, again, the biggest question is, obviously how deep a lot of this stuff runs. Spurious, anything else you want to add before we go ahead and start taking a look at a couple charts? IEP earnings is next week, and then we do have GME earnings in March. So I do want to just take a look at some options tonight.
Sure.
As well as just overall, just kind of take a look at some of these charts here. What are your thoughts, man? As we start to move on from here, Spurious, anything else you want to add tonight? We're all ears. Let's hear
it. This is kind of looking backward, but I think it's worth noting just to be aware of the history, just to be aware of the progression of where things were all the way back then and how far they've come since then. So I, first got into I never took a close look at stocks until, 2021 when the insanity of the sneeze, in January. But it was pretty early on. It was like spring of 21. It was after the first up and down run-ups, rundowns, that some people doing DD nonstop on Superstock back before it was so controlled, people happened upon BCG. People saw these connections with BCG.
Yeah.
And BCG was all over GME for years.
Yes, they're in a lawsuit right now with GME.
Yeah. And the CEO, before Matt Furlong, before Ryan became the chairman of the board, the CEO of GME was George Sherman. And there were other CEOs before him, and they were all very friendly with BCG. And way back then, when people started analyzing the moves these CEOs were making and like what they had done to this company over years, the pattern, it just like, it hits you in the face. This isn't, think about the kind of business GME is, right? This is not a business that's like actuaries, like old school accounting. This isn't like some old run-of-the-mill business. Video gaming is like literally always on the cutting edge of technology. And if you look at the statistics from a business sense, literally video games are the highest grossing medium, in terms of revenue.
Well, did you know that a video game is sold every 4 seconds? Someone buys a video game out there. That's a true fact.
I didn't know that one, but
every 4 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the video game industry, just in terms of just flat out revenue, is more than movies, TV, and music combined. Yeah. And it's still growing fast. Because when I was growing up, when I was a teenager, which wasn't that long ago, I'm 35. But, when I was growing up, me and my friends used to talk about, we were really into esports. We were really into, gaming, really competitive with Counter-Strike and stuff. And back then, the thing we used to talk about, we used to dream about while we were drinking, was that there was a stigma for gamers, quote unquote, Back then, like, people just shit on gamers. Anyone who wasn't a gamer just shit on them. Like, oh, you guys are fucking nerds. Oh, you just sit in your mom's basement. Cheetos, whatever.
Yeah,
like,
you'll never make money playing video games, things like that, right?
Like, everyone just shat on us, which is fine. Like, whatever. Right. But we used to dream of the day when it became mainstream enough that the stigma went away, and like people saw the amazing spectator sport that video games could be. And look where we are now.
Yep.
Right. We're here.
People are paid millions of fucking dollars, man.
And the rate that the industry is growing is still going higher. The rate of growth. Yeah. So my point is, George Sherman and the CEOs before him in charge of GameStop, there's a pattern that became very clear very quickly. And the pattern was they don't do anything new. They don't take advantage of the growth potential of esports. They don't take advantage of like doing their own editorials on like gaming industry and stuff. Like they didn't take any attempt even to try and like grow like what's the word, marketing. They didn't do shit. They basically sat in a chair and got paid. And then along comes Ryan Cohen. He buys the fuck in hard, and he becomes chairman of the board. And fucking Sherman's out. And then Cohen took a while looking for a CEO to replace until he finally happened upon Matt Furlong. And he said he interviewed more than 100 potential, executives from big companies before he wound up choosing Matt Furlong. So my point is, it's very, very, very clear. And all that time was BCG advising, by the way. It's very clear the pattern was these CEOs were snuggled up to BCG, and BCG didn't advise the company to do anything new or interesting, and the CEOs didn't push anything. And along comes Cohen. He kicks out BCG. He kicks out Sherman. He finds someone with vision. Matt Furlong worked in all of Amazon Australia, right? Like, Furlong has a hell of a track record. He hired someone good. He hired someone driven. And like, the company made so much steps to right the wrong footing they were in when like Sherman was in charge, before Cohen was in there. So I'm just saying, like, it's a long journey here.
You want some good news, Spurious?
Sure.
Just literally 4 days ago, on the 13th of February, the judge for the case between Boston Consulting Group and GameStop denied in part and granted in part the $30 million claim. They basically smoked out the GameStop claim between BCG. And that was literally 4 days ago that was ruled upon. So BCG will be getting some money, but certainly not all of it, because they apparently overinflated some of the claims.
I'm sure they did. Yeah. Well, yeah, I think that's net positive. Yeah. Good. Fuck them. Yeah. Get them the fuck out of
BCG,
the picture.
man. Yeah.
Yeah. Right so Michael, right? Like, I don't even know how long ago was a month or two ago, Michael, when you started noticing BCG popping up everywhere. I was so excited because we're not making this shit up. They are everywhere. They are crawling like fucking roaches in all these companies, and they are advising them into the fucking ground. They are part of the short and distort scheme. They are market fucking wide. They are all over the world. It's insane. So all I'm saying is, look at all this history. Look at the progression where the company has come. It's only been getting better and better and better. We have a lot to look forward to. The bad times, the worst times are behind us.
Yep.
We're in a wonderful opportunity. It's awesome.
Beautifully said, man. Spurious, anything else you want to add? Some closing thoughts on the way out as we move into some charts for the night? Let's hear it. We're all ears, Spurious.
No, I'm good. Thank you for giving me the time to say that. Is it all right if I just kind of sit in and...
Yeah. Why don't you sit in, man? Sure. We're going to check out a couple of charts here in a moment. ABC, do you need to get going? You want to sit in for a couple of charts?
Yeah, I might step out, but before I go, man, I just want to give support to AJ's, February 24th date.
Yes.
ICANN, I believe, his financials is on the 23rd, so that would
Friday next week.
Yeah, so that would kind of possibly line up well if there was something to come out of that avenue. But no, it's Friday night, man. Good show. Pleasure to be here.
Cool.
I am actually looking into Matt Furlong right now. I'm curious as to what he's doing and where he's gone and what's next for him.
He's working at Teddy, man.
I think he's going to have something.
LinkedIn still blank, like for the time being. Is it not clear where he's gone?
Yeah.
Interesting.
So I have some suspicion, again, all speculation, not financial advice, but
sure,
he being an Australia guy, he certainly understands Amazon. That's why he was brought to GameStop. And with this Toys R Us thing on Tuesday, I'm wondering, that's
could
Australia.
Be something, man. Then also it leads back to the Tuesday morning tinfoil as well. Remember, there was always the Tuesday morning stuff with Ryan Cohen. And so who knows, man? I think that, if you ask me, sure, you get hype dates, things like that, but this is just going to happen one day, just on a random fucking, whether it be a Tuesday, a Wednesday, a Thursday, we're just going to see, boom, something drops and the whole fucking goddamn internet's going to break, man, when it happens. So with that being said, ABC, loved having you on the show. I hope you enjoy the weekend, and chat, let's get some love for ABC on his way out.
Awesome, guys. Thanks, Mike. Thanks, BP.
Take care, man.
Cheers.
See ya. All right, we're going to take, oops. CABC. All right, we're going to take a look at some charts tonight. Again, if you don't give a fuck about GameStop, you don't give a fuck about IEP, right on, man, but we're going to take a look at it right now. All right, so let me go ahead and share my screen because it will probably be a little easier here.
There's also Big Lots.
Yeah, so you've been following Big Lots as well, and the funny thing with Big Lots is that Loop Capital has essentially deemed it $1 a share for that stock, and I think you said that Michael Burry took a position in it. Is that right?
Yeah, a pretty big position.
It's very interesting. All right, so we're taking a look here at IEP. Again, IEP is looking good, fellas. If you're an IEP, GameStop. It's looking pretty good in my opinion. So let me pull up some of this data here for us to take a look at tonight. One thing that I did notice, because I have been watching IEP for quite a long time. I've been watching it since last year from when it fell from 50 to a bottom of 15. I had always assumed that the bottom was at $15. Again, it's my own opinion. No, I'm not an expert. But IEP is looking good, fellas, especially when you're taking into account what the off-exchange rates are looking at nowadays. Before, these off-exchange rates were nearly 75%, 73% off-exchange. Now we're actually seeing a reduction. Again, off-exchange is still pretty high at 50%, but it most certainly is not as high as it was. Also, if you guys haven't noticed, after hours as well with IEP, it is making some moves. I mean, I played options in IEP from Monday till Friday this week. And I had a very kind of simple type of method. First, obviously you have to track the price. You got to see what IEP is doing in a sense. And what I noticed since Monday is that essentially IEP would close, right? But yet we'd have this 20-40% run after hours, which was very bizarre. Didn't understand it. Why the fuck? I mean, this is moving off of less than 1,000 worth of volume, right? And if you actually look at the weekly chart looks very bizarre, man. There's a lot of like blank type of kind of like bars within the chart. You don't really have like these full bars of volume. Very fucking weird, man. Like 200 volume, and it's moving the stock price like 10, 20 fucking cents, fellas. But here's the weird thing. The weird thing is that it would, let's say we close at 2050, right? Or let's say we close at 2020. Well, after hours, what I notice is that all of a sudden we're up 40 fucking cents after hours off barely any fucking volume. Well, then we'd open up on, let's say, Tuesday or Wednesday or whatever it may be, and the stock price would still continuously increase upwards. I was basically playing options from here, $20 all the way to 21.5 today. And the funny thing is that I had offloaded a lot of my position, my IEP options by Thursday. You need to be careful when you're fucking with options, because if you don't offload, if you have expiries by Friday and you don't really have like these big swings in the market, your options are essentially going to be fucking worthless. So I played all the way to 21.5, and it's funny because today I actually had expiring 21.5s. That were set to expire for today. And I had no idea that in the middle of the day, we would run to 21.53. So it's very interesting, man. Again, if you don't fuck with options, you need to figure it out. There is some money to be made. Again, PP's method here is he uses options to increase his capital, which then he utilizes that capital to purchase more GameStop and IEP. Look, I could start with 500 fucking bucks and buy 500 bucks at GameStop. Or if I'm knowledgeable or smart enough with how you play the options, you can double, triple some of your fucking capital, and then you can buy even more shares. Should everybody do this? Absolutely not, because you can lose quite a bit of money very quickly. But this is just PP's method, okay? I love playing options, all right? Every fucking week, I play options, man. I just love it. And you can get into options at a very low level as well. Don't Want a Channel says lottery tickets. I guess, man, but it's not always like that. I mean,
it's
lottery,
leverage.
Yeah,
leverage
like
is powerful.
Lottery tickets are like the stock's at $20 and you're buying an end of the week weekly at 40. That's a fucking gamble. All right. But if you're properly playing these options, man, if you're kind of playing like a little bit out of the money, close to the money, and you are tracking some of these graphs with how they're moving, again, the algos kind of control everything. If you can just figure out the pattern, okay, that's all it is. That's kind of what TA is that if you can just kind of understand the pattern, you can most certainly utilize this to your advantage. And that's what trading in the market is about. We know that the market is fraudulent. We know that the market is stacked against us. So utilize that to make money off this market. Again, it really doesn't require a lot of money to play some of these options, man. You know, I've started with $50 and played all the way up to 800 within a week, starting from 50. Real quick, let me. I didn't even see ABC backstage here. Warren Buffett is about to announce his secret investment. ABC says he sold $1 billion of Apple and he sold $2.3 billion of HP, and he's about to announce. Can you imagine if it was Teddy or something? That'd be fucking nuts. ABC. All right, so go ahead.
He also sold a lot. Well, back in 2022, he sold a lot of gold. He had Goldman Sachs, like he came in to bail him out in 2008. Mm-hmm. And then because of scandals and whatnot, I guess he sold.
Yeah.
So that's just kind of an interesting turn of events.
Let me pull up, and we're going to take a look at GameStop as well. First things first, we can start with the failure to deliver. I mean, there's basically no fails to deliver on this stock right now. That's crazy. You can even go back as early as January, and I can't. When did the stock? Yeah, when did the stock start to? When did it start to move upwards? I think it was like towards the end of December, early January. So it'd line up with, you know, obviously like one FTD. They had literally 7 shares here. Why you would even fail to deliver on 7 shares? I mean, that's a fucking red flag if you ask me, man. But obviously you can see the failed delivers are quite low for IEP. I mean, it's not taking a lot of volume for the stock to move. I mean, within a week, a $3 increase off of like, I think it was like less than a million volume even this week, or maybe it was a little more than that. I can't recall. Real quick, let me just go ahead and read off some of these tips here. Alien Guy, I didn't see this earlier with the hard PP memberships. Appreciate your support. Alien Guy, enjoy those PP emojis, man. There are a couple tips here I must have missed. Sky Daddy with the 2. Imagine Rad Dad telling someone about the Bed Bath Saga. We also had Sky Daddy with the 2. Imagine Spurious saying, I'm about to come. And then Sky Daddy with the 2. Spurious sounds like he sneezes a lot. Love him. Right on. We also got Crayon Green with the 5 PP Show gifted memberships. Appreciate your support, Crayon Green. Again, if you got a membership, fellas, be sure to give it thanks in the chat. We also got Moonsung with the 10. Appreciate the love, Moonsung. Do you smell that I smell money, LFG? By the way, where's Plur? That's a great question, man. God knows where the fuck Plur has gone, man. But if anybody has contact with him, let him know that PP's looking for him, man. All right, let's take a look at some short volume. Here's the graph, short volume to the price of IEP. Again, I mean, IEP is heading towards this reversal. You know, they bottomed out. $15 is roughly where they bottomed out. And now we're moving back upwards, almost $22 a share. Short volume, 66% short volume reported as of today. Wow. 66% of nearly all volume was short volume. 473,000 of that on IEP. Exchange. All right, let's take a look real quick at the graph here. And then we'll take a look at some options. All right. So as we know, IEP right about the $50 price range here. We see the tanking around April, around the time of Bed Bath & Beyond bankruptcy. But I mean, you know, to me, this looks good. I think that IEP is heading for a reversal, man, if you ask me. Could it come back up to the $50 ranges? It very well could be. I mean, what was going on from April till now where you know, obviously there was some liquidity stuff going on. Obviously, we know that there was an article written about IEP led to the downward pressure of the stock, things like that. What are your fellas' thoughts? I mean, you know, what I find very interesting is that for many months, IEP sees this decline, right? For many, many months. And now all of a sudden that this fucking bankruptcy is essentially over and done, now all of a sudden IEP is in full reversal mode. What are your guys' thoughts, man? Do you think that maybe IEP was providing liquidity at some point for some of this bankruptcy? I mean, I can't help but think that these are correlated. And then we also have a Charles backstage. We'll bring it in just a moment. Sit tight back there, Charles. Would love to hear your opinion tonight. What are your fellas' thoughts, Spurious or Michael, on this kind of reversal with IEP? I mean, this is looking pretty fucking bullish to me, especially with the timing of obviously of where we're kind of at right now with Bed Bath.
I mean, I think that it's all going to happen at once. All the people, you know, the X Everything app. I mean, I think I see it all coming together all at once. And right now, the people in control have the ability to suppress a price. And I think it just kind of is a hint that, you know, it's possibly their power is slipping. The enemies. And I think, you know, everyone has ready, I challenged Marcus Lemonis. I was like, wait, if you guys like don't really have a lot of cash on hand, why did you make this like buyback? You know, just because I was like looking at all these buybacks and I'm like, this is kind of messed up. But then Ryan Cohen was like, oh yeah, you know, Alibaba, China should do buybacks. And I'm like, wait, what? So, you know, I asked Marcus Lemonis and he's like, well, you know, it's just, you want to have it ready. And so I think that there, you know, if Carl Icahn has buybacks ready and so does GameStop, you know, that there's just going to, they're waiting for this, it all happened at once and then boom, you know, squeeze season, I guess.
I'm telling you guys, man, yeah. GameStop and IEP, if these two fucking companies are at all involved, that is a three-way win. You ever place a three-way bet, man, where you win 3 fucking times across one bet? That is the way I potentially see it. My money, a large majority of my money is in Bed Bath & Beyond, like a lot of people out there. Then whatever I have left in terms of investments are into IEP and GameStop. Can you even imagine, man? Someone said parlay. There you go, Danker. Could you even imagine that this thing happens? You get your win, your equity, your cash in Bed Bath. Then all of a sudden you have a win in IEP. And then to top it off, an additional win in GameStop. I mean, we're talking about fucking squeeze season, fellas. And then when you take into account not only that, fellas, Ryan Cohen is the CEO of GameStop. Icahn owns 93%, nearly 93% of IEP outright. Okay. And we're all sitting here and we're about to get our cash and equity in Bed Bath & Beyond. Could you even fucking imagine, man, the fucking gains? You wouldn't even have to roll anything in, man. You'd pretty much be all set to go. And that's why I think that there's this is why I call this the holy trifecta, in my opinion. Bed Bath, GME, IEP. Side plays, sure, a little bit of money on the side. Make your options plays. You know, there's all sorts of fucking stocks moving in the market. And, you know, should you treat them as quote unquote distractions, things like that? Sure. If you want to say they're a distraction, if you want to view it that way, fine. But, you know, the market is supposed to be utilized to make money. And that's what I do with the options, you know, but a lot of my main capital 100% is going across these 3 companies. This is the trifecta, man. All right. That you're witnessing. And like I said, the connections to some of the law firms that go back to Carl Icahn and some of his plays with Tropicana Casino, which was in a Chapter 11 as well. Same type of lawyers. Some of the same lawyers are in here, man. This thing is 100% involved. And then take into account the timing, right? You have the Chapter 11 bankruptcy being filed right here for Bed Bath. Why the fuck didn't IEP fall like this fucking 3 months prior to this? Why the fuck is it timed around when Bed Bath potentially needed equity or liquidity somewhere? Why the fuck does Carl Icahn do his interview and then step away from his alarm clock there, and sure enough, it says 1:47 on the clock? Look, the speculation with his son Brett Icahn, maybe he is engineering how this is happening. He could be engineering a little bit of the tinfoil behind it too. But you cannot deny, fellas, the fucking timing of all of this. Right here, they filed Chapter 11. Icahn Enterprises falls. Boom, retraces back. Fucking proceeds to get shorted into oblivion to a $15 bottom. And now, all of a sudden, we have a reverse. After being shorted since April of last year, fellas. Yeah. Something is not adding up here. Especially this right here on the fucking graph, man. This is indicating to me something is about to come. All right. And it's not PB.
Sorry. Sorry. Can I say something about the chart?
Let's hear it.
So there's something really, really interesting in this chart and many other charts of companies that, we speculate are really, really, really targeted by short sellers and naked shorters. Right. Can you zoom out of the chart just a bit to see the biggest drop? There we go. We go. So how do I put this? On an organic chart, on a stock that is very probably not, hugely targeted by short selling,
yes,
and or like naked shorting market makers, because for them it's legal. Mm-hmm. They get to do this it's legal.
Oh yeah, like they can trade they can drive the prices down with some of these options. They can buy in these increments of pennies, and a lot of the options trades we have to make are in increments of 5 or greater. So they already have an upper advantage when it even comes to options, being able to buy some of these options pennies, then driving the price down. Yeah, it's bullshit.
It's insane that like Citadel is allowed to both be a market maker, and they also have an entire hedge fund branch, which is massive. Like, it shouldn't be allowed, and they claim it's all air gapped and it's all separated, and they don't talk to each other. It's fucking bullshit.
Exactly.
Like, it's so corrupt. Anyway, but on an organic chart that's not super shorted, right? Typically, increase of volume drives price increases.
Right.
Or I could say it the other way is probably more accurate. Price increases need higher volume to run them up, right? Look at this fucking chart right here. Look at where the highest volume is. If you look at the candles with the highest volume, almost every single one is where the price is getting destroyed.
Yeah. It's right backwards. On the 2nd of May right there.
Yeah, it's backwards from what normally organically takes place.
Well, look at sorry, go ahead. Look at from August all the way to end, and then go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, like look on this chart, IEP.
Yeah.
Look at the volume where the price gets crushed the hardest, and look at the volume where the price is rising the fastest. Mm-hmm. It's backwards of what normally takes place organically. And the reason is this: when the price is getting crushed in this chart, the volume is super high.
Yeah.
Because the market maker is enforcing their will upon the stock. The market maker gets to place sell orders that shouldn't exist. There's no shares. They're introducing new shares, which are actually shorts, which are actually naked shorts.
And they're not going to be able to deliver these. There is not enough shares for them. Look, when you take into account the massive amount of volume, right, that lasted from essentially the 2nd of May all the way through the end of the 26th of May, was the most amount of volume period, right, out of this entire attack, with respect to a couple of these spikes here and there. But this was the longest amount of volume compared to drive the stock price down.
Yeah.
The thing is that Carl Icahn is sitting on nearly 92%, right? Then take into account institutional holdings, take into account retail on top of that. There's nothing left. There's no way they're going to close IEP. It's impossible. Unless Carl Icahn himself decides to wake up tomorrow and start dumping a shitload of shares, which, newsflash, he hasn't done anything like that in 20 plus fucking years, right, with his stock. So essentially, that's not what we're going to see. We're going to see most likely GameStop, IEP, Bed Bath & Beyond. We're going to see these, in my opinion, these astronomical price levels. I mean, if you take into account his stock price for a very long time, yes, we've had like decreases in time, things like that. I mean, you had also 2020, COVID. His stock price never fell as low as it did, even when, quote unquote, the world was fucking ending. His stock price never fell this low. And then we're supposed to believe that all of a sudden one fucking article from the Hindenburg led to this disastrous effect. I would believe that shit if this was not lined right around the bankruptcy of Bed Bath & Beyond, which is quite literally like right here. What was it? The 24th, right? That we filed bankruptcy. Is that right? Anybody out in the chat? 24th of April, I think it was. Right? Or the 28th?
Somewhere around there, yeah.
I think it was the 24th. If someone can confirm the date of bankruptcy. But that's when you see the initial decrease in the price, right when they filed bankruptcy, right there.
The bounce at the end. I think one thing it kind of correlates with is I was watching a documentary on, I can't remember which, I don't know if it's Charles Schwab or something, where the CEO quit right before like disaster hit, and then he came back after. So I think it's like, if there's gonna be this big change, this wealth transfer, the smart people start to, if they've been doing nefarious things, like start to see the writing on the wall and they get out early. So like there's apparently it's the biggest hedge fund in the world, which is Man Group in the UK. And the CEO, when I was tracing back, anyway, the court case with Elon Musk, and, the judge made an odd ruling and it seemed, political. And so I was looking at the other people that same politician had elected to the Chancery Court. And it was actually the judge that ruled on the AMC conversion, which I thought was really corrupt. And I think objectively is. And that led me to like Antara, which led me to Luke Ellis of he was the CEO of Man Group, that big hedge fund. And right after that deal went through, he retired. And he was in the center of like every big scandal going back to like 1987. And so it's like, I think that what's happening is like the people that have like been, just on this heist for so many years, they're starting to take their money and get out so that when everything crashes, they don't look like they're to blame. And so I think that gives more power to people like Carl Icahn that are coming into that position of power.
Yeah. 100%. Also, ABC Backstage said, guys, what the fuck? Why does buybuybaby.cn, which is China, redirect to Bed Bath & Beyond Overstock? What? That should have been given to Dream on Me. Why does Overstock need buybuybaby.cn China? What the fuck? Is that true?
Yeah, I just checked. That's very, very interesting.
ABC makes a great fucking point. ABC, I don't know if you want to come back on the show or if you want to just sit backstage. Oh, okay, yeah, you have the access to. That's a pretty big deal, man.
Yeah.
You're muted.
That's fucking crazy, man.
It redirects to Overstock.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna also bring in Charles Bronson. I want to take a closer look at that China stuff as well. I mean, again, you have to ask yourself. Dream on Me would essentially have these websites, these brands, everything.
They have all of them. So
according to the dockets, yes. Yeah.
Check out docket 571. And this is because Juicy just messaged me. And so under docket 571, it lists all the assets of all the domains. And so bye baby, all the misspelled, bye BBY. Every version was literally transferred over in the asset sale, except for bye baby China.
Dude, this is fucking crazy. Let's bring in Charles Bronson. Let's see what's going on with Charles tonight as well. Chad, please give a warm welcome to Charles Bronson. All right, Charles Bronson, what's going on, man? Welcome to the PP Show. Let's hear what's on your mind tonight, man. What do you have for us? Let's hear it.
Fellas, what's going on? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, man. How you doing tonight? Welcome to the show.
Good. Where the fuck Michael go? My God.
he's on PS1 graphics right now.
Damn.
we just booted up the PS1. Just give it a second. It's booting there.
On my screen, it looks good.
Yeah. What's going on, Charles?
I look at the mirror.
I've been watching the show for pretty much some time now, man.
Right on.
I think I got into play pretty much. What was that? I think a month before bankruptcy. I think.
Okay, so March, yeah.
Yeah. So, like I said, been watching the show, man, and basically just trying to hop on, and but I was in another stock before this play.
Which one?
I was in Under Armour.
Oh, okay. How did that play out for you?
Shit, it didn't play out good. I'm talking about, I didn't know what was going on, but I used to go to Stock Tweets.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know if you guys know anything about that, stocktweets.com, but
yeah, Stock Tweets. Yeah.
Yeah. So I started going there when I got in this play, but basically with Under Armour, it was getting shorted and stuff like that. So I mean, was reading about, I guess, stuff they was putting out. I guess CNBC and stuff like that. But basically, I'm just trying to let you guys know that I guess regular people like me, that's pretty much all we have to read. So everything pretty much. Yeah, go ahead.
What are your thoughts with Ryan Cohen? Have you followed Ryan Cohen before? Were you in GameStop? Did you get into the sneeze for GameStop? From 3 to nearly 500. I mean, what are your thoughts with Carl? Because here at the show, we truly believe that there is some enough evidence that leads us to believe that Carl Icahn as well as Ryan Cohen are certainly involved in this. And if some people out there on the fence about, well, Carl Icahn maybe isn't. We have definitive proof that Ryan Cohen is an interested party, a co-debtor, and also a creditor via the dockets. What are your thoughts on Cohen, and what are your thoughts on kind of how this plays out, Charles? I'm curious.
I mean, basically, just going from Under Armour, I guess, kind of like ABC. He was saying that he's pretty much started out not knowing anything and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how, I got to this point now. So I guess as far as Ryan Cohen in the play now, I think it's going to play out, pretty well. I guess a lot of fraud, stuff like that. But basically, the main reason why I got on here is pretty much to just let y'all know that, regular people, man, the only thing that they have is, just the media. And I'm talking about, I just kept hearing y'all talking about that stuff. And
yeah,
when I was with Under Armour, man, they were saying stuff about the guy was taking co-workers to the strip club. I'm dead serious, man.
Why the fuck are we working for him, man?
I'm dead serious, but they just kept putting out bad stuff like that. But it was the year Steph Curry, because Steph Curry is the face of the company,
right? Yeah,
so, it was the year that he won a championship, and he was the face of the company, and the damn stock price was still going down,
right?
So long story short, you guys, pretty much brought all that to light and stuff like that. But as far as this play, man, I mean, it's a lot of fraud, but
definitely
obviously a lot of stuff I didn't know about.
Yeah.
And then I seen that basically with Bill, man, I guess Bill got bonds and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
that's a big deal. Yeah. The fact that Pulte has bonds is a very big deal. I mean, as much noise as we could make and to bring as much attention on former CEO Mark Triton, and also what the company essentially has done here, the company has said for a long time that shareholders are going to get delivered value, and we have yet to see that. The only thing that we've seen reflect in these dockets is that bondholders are getting paid, warrant holders, all this, but yet there's no money for shareholders. Where's the shareholder maximization that we've been discussing for over a year, right? We've heard Sue Gov, right? The other CEO who has essentially stated the same thing, that they're trying to maximize essentially the stakeholder value, and we have yet to see that. So I do think that, especially with what ABC is bringing up here, where some of these redirects to some of these websites are going to the Overstock website. This is very bizarre. Biggest question is, why did Dream On Me wait 6 fucking months to utilize the baby brand that they had essentially purchased? Right? You see Overstock in less than 48 hours immediately start to use this this brand, Bed Bath & Beyond.
Quick.
Yet Dream On Me is waiting 6 months, and somehow, Dream On Me has the capital to buy this big fucking warehouse, to have not only that, open up 11 fucking retail stores, hire old executives, right, who worked for Bed Bath & Beyond back in 2019. Somehow they just magically also have the money to buy this IP. Has anybody seen how much money fucking Dream On Me makes? It's less than roughly 20 million a year, man. It's not a lot. It's not substantial to where you would see something like this. Like, this is a full-blown fucking operation. And none of it makes sense unless there is a capital injection into a private company like Dream On Me, which we wouldn't know. If someone injected $150 million, $200 million into Dream On Me yesterday, guess what? We wouldn't fucking know if they had an injection of capital like that. They're a private company. But the facts are the facts. They are a baby manufacturer, yet somehow, now all of a sudden, they know how to run 11 plus fucking Bye Bye Baby stores. I don't know. Something here doesn't smell right. 6 months not utilizing the brand. Something is just off here. So, yeah.
I guess from the start though, I noticed that I guess when you guys had I guess like Bill, Carl Icahn. Yeah, pretty much like the space pick and stuff like that. But at that time, you guys didn't really know Bill. Like, he never came on and stuff like that. So it's going back all the way to that time to now. Now you know Bill like your fucking brother. So
it's crazy.
Kinda, just stuff just keeps popping up. Like people just keep coming out. Like, and then the plan administrator responding, I guess, late at night and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I guess sometimes you just gotta remind people of what's going on, because it's like, people responding, dockets are dropping, during the show and stuff like that. So it's like, I mean, but once again, when I joined the play, none of that stuff was happening like that. Definitely with Bill and, Larry Chang. I mean, so all of that is like,
it's crazy, man. I mean, again, it wouldn't make sense if we go to zero, we get nothing, no equity, nothing, and the story goes on. No, there's no fucking way that any of this would have made sense up in this point. Larry Chang, Ryan Cohen, quote unquote, like, all these tweets, and then GameStop like trolling us with this DK Butterfly stuff. No fucking chance, man. I mean, you're talking about losing a massive reputation with GameStop itself. I mean, GameStop themselves were tweeting out shitloads of butterflies, showing Bobby Hill, in that Butterfree meme video as well, which was like, he was like a butterfly. I mean, that is as clear as you have to get, that we as Bobbies, right, who bought Bed Bath & Beyond, are going to become, whatever this butterfly entity is, right? That's the only thing that makes sense. Yeah.
I got a question though. I guess as long as you've been in this play, because I saw the movie, and ABC, he went and saw it, and I know he told you about it, but you said that the movie didn't really explain what really went on. So what was your issue with the movie, like for the GameStop? Like, what was the deal with that? Because I know you got in like $88 or something like that.
Yeah. So I got in at $80.
$80,
yeah. And it was funny because the way I had stumbled upon it is I was on Wall Street Bets and just kind of looking at, like, what's the best thing to put some money into, man? A lot of degenerates out there. What's the next thing, right? What's going to make me 100x on my money? And I saw a lot of people talking about GameStop, looked at the chart, saw it moved from roughly like 45, 50 to 60, upwards of like 80. And I was like, fuck it. Didn't even think twice. Immediately had an order for the next day to buy in at $88. And the rest was history that we moved up to 500. First time I've ever experienced anything like that. the movie itself, to me, the GameStop movie, everything kind of seemed rushed. You know, when I was experiencing it in life, you know, things were moving fast, but the movie was very fast. I mean, the movie went from essentially, DFV, you know, starting his streams, and then all of a sudden the stock is just ripping. And I feel like there was a lot of stuff lost kind of in between. There was a lot of people at the time in GameStop who, part of like the Reddit communities and stuff like that, they were like sourcing, receipts from local GameStops to see like what their earnings would look like with how many sales they've been doing. I mean, there was so much due diligence happening between that I felt like the movie kind of rushed. So the movie I feel like was it was good, but there was a lot of stuff lacking in my opinion. There was not a lot of Reddit stuff. I know they put in a little bit in there. There wasn't enough Cohen stuff. But yeah, that's just kind of my criticisms about it. But yeah, that's kind of how I felt.
Also, Charles, you just mentioned about us getting responses from, you know, people. And speaking of that, during the show, I just tweeted Marcus Lemonis, and I was like, hey, Marcus, what's the relationship between BYON and bedbathandbeyond.com.mx?
That's a great question.
Stores there. And he says none.
Nice.
They have the license for now.
All right, write him back. I don't know if he's still available. Write him back and say, why the fuck Marcus Lemonis, or I'll do it. I'll say, why the fuck does buybybaby.cn route to your goddamn website?
Dude, he is trolling.
Where's my goddamn
put that on
phone? All right, we're doing
thread.
it right now. Yeah.
See, my thing with the Marcus Lemonis thing, I guess with Marcus Lemonis, it seemed like y'all go back and forth with. I know, well, with you, PP, you just want to see his cars, but I've heard y'all respond. Y'all sent the message to him one night, and he responded. I guess that's the night when Sal had came on, and I guess that night Lemonis was trying to see if people really had, I guess, their knowledge together or something, and Sal had ended up coming on and I guess straightening everything out. But ever since then, I guess Lemonis hasn't really been getting any credit from you guys. It's like everybody keeps saying he's trolling or something like that. But
well, Mike,
he said thank you to me. I wrote a post and he said thank you. And this one, I mean, I posted and within like 40 minutes, he replied to me.
So what the fuck is up with PP then? PP want to slap the man.
I think they like to fight each other.
I don't want to be fucked with, man.
Hey, man, he just get riled up every time they do.
Marcus is
all right. I just tweeted Marcus. I said, Marcus, why the fuck does buybybaby.cn route to Overstock?
Man, he's not going to respond to that shit, man.
He knows PP's coming for him, man. All right. PP has fucking questions and no one's giving answers, man. God damn it.
But see, even with this, like, see how late it is, man. And he just respond. That's when I first got in, man. Like, I wasn't seeing, you know, connections like this with like bigger people. But like now, it's like, you know, they just pop up, get a response, this and that. So it's like that's like with Ryan Cohen's friend that came on.
Which one? The guy from LQR.
Yeah. And he was like, I guess they were showing this company and stuff like that, and he popped up on the show, and I heard I could.
Did his story ever get verified?
So I reached out to Brad about it, and Brad didn't respond to me about it. So I would assume
which
that
Brad?
Cohen's brother.
Oh yeah. Oh, okay, and he just didn't respond.
No response. Yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, maybe. I mean, I feel like if he didn't know the guy, he'd say, no, I have no idea who that guy is. If maybe he did know him, maybe the silence kind of.
The way I look at it,
he didn't verify it.
The way I look at it, that's such a big, direct thing to claim.
Mm-hmm.
That like, if the guy was a bad actor or if the guy was just straight up lying about all that, that's like way too big and blatant a lie to just float in public and then like not expect like. Like if it was a lie, I think Brad or Ryan or somebody near him would have been like, yeah, that I don't know what that guy's talking about. Like, that's just not true. You know what I mean? Like, that's such a big direct lie thing to claim. If it was a lie, I think someone would say something.
So I guess out of you guys, like, do you Do y'all really believe that was it? Like they grew up together, or whatever? I mean, me, I'm just listening. Just
I have no idea. You know, I mean, it could be real. You know, I don't know who out there would attempt to lie about something like that. Especially when he said the story about how Ryan Cohen had actually reached out to speak to his father before he passed away. I don't think someone would make something like that up. Although the guy was very adamant on, hey, we need to rally behind this stock and things like that because short sellers think that everybody should do whatever they want with their money. I personally don't have a position LQR. There are some people out there who do, and the stock did run. So it was a pretty decent day trade, in my opinion, if you weren't trying to hold long term. But the guy seemed kind of genuine, in my opinion, whenever he was on, and we respected his time. And I think it was great hearing from him. So, Charles, anything else you want to add tonight as we move into some charts with GME tonight? We're all ears tonight. Charles, on the way out, let's hear it. We still got about 560 people tuning in on a Friday night. Anything else you want to add, Charles? Let's hear it.
I guess pretty much, just going from the regular side of things, like just the regular people, people read about, the apes and stuff like that. So I guess it's pretty much like Bill, just everybody coming together and stuff like that. Because the regular people, they don't know. I guess the GME people, or I guess Bed Bath and Beyond, they don't know anything about.
That's just the super stonk people, man. We got a lot of GME. Yeah, there's a handful. So
but I guess for
in their space, there's like 11. So
it's a couple bad apples.
The vast majority are for both.
Yeah, a lot of them support the Ryan Cohen and the movement. So
I mean, but yeah, that's pretty much all I got, man. Just
cool.
Come on the show, showing love. That's about it.
Right on. All right, cool. Well, you heard it from Charles. Chat. Let's get some love for Charles on his way out. Charles, loved having you on the show. And enjoy the rest of the night, man.
All right.
All right. Take care. All right, you heard it from Charles. But yeah, I mean, this is very interesting. The fact that buybybaby.cn routes to Overstock. What the fuck, man? Very interesting. All right, let me pull this back up here. ABC,
what were you going to say? ABC?
Yeah. Go ahead, ABC.
No, I'm good. I just turned on my camera.
Okay.
Oh no, you were going to say, you're like, oh, Michael also something when I was talking about Marcus Lemonis said like they have the licenses for now.
Oh, I was going to say, I was going to get you to email him about the buybybaby.cn because PP's. He doesn't get answered by him. You piss Marcus off.
Oh, you know what it is? I know what it is.
Man. He pisses me off, man. What the fuck?
Dude, PP doesn't fuck around. PP doesn't beat around the bush. PP is so direct and honest and straight and blunt. Yeah. I think it's a great thing, but
I love it. I love it too. But PP gets so flustered and frustrated because he's not getting the answers he wants. Yet Marcus will engage with everybody else. And I received an email from him just last week because of the gift card for the Beyond Design or whatever.
Yeah.
And
he gave me one too.
Yeah, he's an awesome guy. And he puts his money where his mouth is. He paid for his stock by cash. He's being represented by JAT Capital, who is owned by John Taylor.
Mm-hmm.
John Taylor is part of Hampton, which is part of Jeffries, bud. Like they're all interconnected.
Wow. Yeah, but all he does is talk shit on Twitter.
Yeah, what do you do on Twitter?
Talk shit. I mean, it's just I don't know, man. Like the guy will say things like, oh, people who are saying you're getting equity are like they're misleading you and stuff like that. And it's like, what do you mean? Like this guy is like low key, like he's like slightly shilling, like in a sense, man. And so I try to ask these direct questions. I'm like, look, we need to know. Why the fuck did the prior CEO of Overstock resign on the day that they were supposed to ring the bell? No answer. All right. Did it have anything to do with Bed Bath? And I think he answered that one. And he said no. So it's like, what the fuck is actually going on, man? And I get it. There's a lot of people out there who maybe beat around the bush, But PP here, man, he goes directly in for the answers, man. He wants to know because you know what, man? It's the elephant in the room, and it's what everybody wants to know. So there's got to be someone like me who takes the initiative to just get it out of the way, man. Just ask it, God damn it.
Dude, when there's a party and everyone in the room is like trying to be polite and not address the elephant in the room, you're the guy standing in the middle of the room chugging a drink saying, "Holy fuck, do you not see the elephant?"
Yeah, exactly 100%.
Although, I mean, the thing is, though, I think that there's enemies that are looking for any excuse to, stop this and
utilize this information against them. Yeah.
100%. Well, not just that, but like if Marcus slips up and gives non-public information and he then gets removed from the board, and if he was at all associated with this, not directly, but like as a Keiretsu play or just as like a founders play, just that a common ethos, that could, I mean, T0, I really believe is part of this. I mean, that's part of the thing is like, I really think T0 is central to this whole founders movement. And so the fact that, he's like, hey, we need to unlock the potential of T0. Yeah. I mean, why hadn't T0, if it already had permissions and everything, why wasn't it being made more of a priority before?
Well, that's another thing too, is that we have something set up. We have some executives from T0 who will be joining us on the show soon. But we're still waiting to get clearance for this shit. So it's very interesting, man. I mean, again, like cool. This is just a simple like stock show that we get together, we talk about a stock. It's very casual, and we're still waiting for approval from T0, to be able to have these executives on. And I've been reaching out to my connection that's over at T0 to the board. I'm actually speaking with a board member from T0 actively. Nice. And each week I just follow up, and they're like, we're just kind of waiting for things to be pushed through. They have to go through a process. Like this is very serious. They're part of these are people who are a part of a board, very serious stuff. So obviously have to be careful, with what they come on and associate with and talk about. And that's another thing, is that when that interview actually does happen on the PP show, I don't think we'll be able to approach it very casually, because it's already being set up to this kind of, it has to be like a more professional route with these people from T0. So when that does happen, I'll source all the questions from the community. I'll source my questions, our guys' questions here at the show, and then it may need to be a little bit more formal. But I mean, this is the type of stuff that we're dealing with here. Like, if T0 was not involved at all, I think that we would have just a very easy and a very quick interview with these guys. But the fact that it's having to go through all these processes to be approved and things like that, it leads me to believe that maybe very well possibly that T0 could be a part of this equation. So expect a couple executives from T0 in the near future. I can't tell you guys when that will be, but it is in the works. So
and we're waiting too. Right. I think that the fact that they're like, probably soon I'll be able to do an interview, but we have to keep checking. I mean, like we had the guy we were just talking about from the liquor house, right? He came on. I'm sure he didn't need a lot of special permission, right? It's like, yeah, sure. People, we had a CEO on Retail United. They were doing a Twitter space, and a CEO just came up and then started speaking, right? He didn't need special permission, but for T0, why do they need special permission if we talk about Bed Bath and Beyond?
Exactly. And that's the main thing. I mean, take Wes Christian, right? Wes Christian was supposed to be on the show at 1.2. The moment we said Bed Bath and Beyond, the guy ghosted the fuck out of us, man. We didn't hear shit after that.
The reason you don't hear anybody talk about it or doesn't want to come on, because it's a systematic risk.
Yes. Absolutely, 100% it is.
Systemic risk, yeah.
So let's take a look here at GameStop. Here's the interesting thing with GameStop, fellas, that I am shocked by. ABC, you need to see this as well. 30% off exchange for GameStop. 30%. You heard that right. How used have we been to seeing the off exchange volume at GameStop over 60 to 70% for over 2 to 3 years? When the fuck was the last time the off exchange was this low? 30%, fellas.
Yeah, now go check.
This is major.
Go check the short interest on it.
Oh, short interest? I don't think I have that on here.
I think it was 76% today.
Oh, wait, hold on. Short volume. 76%. Holy fucking shit.
Yeah. So when the off exchange volume is high, with these clearly shorted stocks, super shorted stocks.
Yes.
The short, what's it called? The short volume also is high, which confirms what we think, that it's short activity. But just something that like people get confused, and it's easily confusable. It's so technical. But short volume is not just like new shorts. It's not like naked shorts. It's not just new shorts. It's also short covering or short closures. So, but I mean, it still amounts to the same thing. When the short volume is so high, it tells you this is not like the average stock. This stock is targeted. You know, there are some malevolent institutions, market makers, and or hedge funds trying to naked short. You know, like it still amounts to nefarious intent. So it's fucked up.
I mean, 76% initial short volume, right? Yet it's shocking to me that hold on, let me go back to exchange volume. So we have 30%, and then SIBO about roughly 1%. So yeah, about 31%, or I'm sorry, SIBO EDGX. This is also off exchange right here, roughly 36%. So that's nearly 60+% being on the lit exchange. And again, I don't know if you guys have been paying attention to GameStop recently, but GameStop's been looking pretty bullish, man, if you ask me. I think essentially they did find a bottom right here around November. Some people are speculating that, you know, we could maybe see further a price decline closer to like the 12.50 area before we do see a reversal before earnings. But GameStop to me, man, is looking bullish. You know, despite a decline in the stock price for nearly 2 years, I think we're finally going to start seeing what the company is going to start doing. Again, the biggest telltale sign is that how the insiders are not buying. You know, if they didn't plan to do shit with GameStop, insiders would still be buying the fucking stock up. They'd be buying it up, no fucking worries. You'd be seeing large increases of insiders buying. You don't see that. And the most bullish thing is that you see the last technically insider buys were right before Bed Bath & Beyond's equity was declared quote unquote worthless, canceled, whatever the fuck you want to call it, towards the end of September. So I do find that very bullish that this happened, that the insiders stopped buying around this timeline. Again, fellas, you need to be paying attention to these timelines, right? That's all I pay attention to. Everything that's going around us, and also the dates that significantly impact our stock, Bed Bath & Beyond. But yeah, I mean, like, you know, you have like these increase in price, decrease, increase, you know, it's very choppy right now. But the fact that the off exchange has essentially declined by quite a bit is very bullish in my opinion.
Could I say something about the volume candles?
Sure.
So mechanically, in these shorted stocks, the reason the volume candles tend to be vast majority of the time very high on the declines in price and much lower when the price increases on a shorted stock is because mechanically what is happening is market makers are introducing artificial volume into, you know, price discovery, into the exchange, into trades moment to moment. So volume is high on the declines of price, which is abnormal. Normally it's not like that.
Right.
But when there's a lot of shorting going on, volume is high on the declines in price because what they're doing is they're shorting, and whether you're legally shorting or naked shorting, which a market maker again technically can do supposed to be only short term, never long term, but they can do it. They're allowed. Either way, shorting itself introduces artificial, newly created shares into price action. And that's why they're called synthetic longs. In normal legal shorting, it's supposed to be very temporary. You know, someone opens a short, there's a new artificial share, and then at some point someone closes a short a week later, a month later, something like that, right? But when there's a lot of naked shorting and there's a lot of targeted shorting going on, those fuckers cover. They do not close.
Right.
So the extra volume on the declines of price, they are driving the declines of price, and they are creating more volume because they're literally artificially new shares, you know, that makes more volume in general. And then if you look at the increases of price on the same shorted stocks, right? The same really targeted shorted stocks, you see it the other way around. Nonsensically, price can increase a lot on not that much volume. And the reason is they are not closing, because closing would be buying. It would be buying a share off the market to close the short. And that would equal volume. They are not closing. They have not been fucking closing for years. They have been covering through married puts and calls and other shit.
That's correct.
Market makers can do. And that's why
their plan is to never close these positions.
Yeah.
Short positions.
That's why the opposite of what logically usually takes place is happening here. That's why even on increases of price, you don't see hardly any volume. It's because they're just covering. And it's all shorting tricks. That's how you know this is bullshit. This isn't real price discovery.
Yeah. Let's take a look at their borrow fees. No one's really borrowing. I mean, I'm shocked that this is this low for GameStop. 2% fee to borrow 500,000 shares. I mean, this is very low. FTDs 23,000. I don't know, man. You know, like, to me, it seems like they're trying to back off a little bit. I mean, obviously you have 76% short volume. This is what's really suppressing the price big time. And you have to wonder why the suppression in price. I mean, you have an average of over 70%, nearly high 60% here of short volume on GameStop. Why the suppression of the volume? I mean, you know, I do think that they're probably going to head to a pretty good earnings, and their earnings is what date is their earnings at? Their date is the 27th of March. Is that right? Does anybody out there know GME earnings date? I think it was the 27th. I want to take a look at some of those options. Real quick, let me catch up on a couple of these tips here. Moonsung with the 10. Love me some Squeezy. We also got Dad Jokes with the 50. Appreciate the love, Dad Jokes. Thank you, PP and the PP Group, for all you do. You have made the past year of my life one of the best. Stay blessed and don't stop. Let's go, PP Seeds. Right on, dude. We also got Rick here with the PP note here for 9 months. Appreciate the love, Rick. The holy trifecta. Right on, man. I wish I would have read that earlier. We also got Gregory with the soft PP Show membership. Appreciate your support, Gregory. Enjoy those PP emojis. When the fuck is earnings for GameStop, fellas? Does anybody out there know?
I can check.
I think it's the 27th, I want to say. Because I want to see what options people are playing right now. I think 27th of March, if you can let me know. We'll go to April just to be on the safe
March
side. April
19th.
March 19th?
Yeah.
Okay, so I would assume that the options before it will probably run up as well. Let's take a look here.
I also stumbled into a video that says, or a news thing that said from November 2022 that said Carl Icahn was still short at GameStop.
What article?
It's just a news clip.
It's probably bullshit is the thing.
Did you say December 2022?
November 2022.
Yeah, that was 1 month after the photo was taken.
Yeah, it probably. I don't think we could trust that one.
Yeah, I need to hear it from Icon himself, or to see it on their balance sheet or somewhere where it states they are shorting GameStop, because otherwise it's some made up bullshit out there. I don't even know where the fuck that story just happened one day, and all of a sudden people just ran with it though. Carl Icahn has never come out and said, I have shorts on GameStop. And that's the thing, is that, you know, I'm not saying this is happening, but some of these news outlets out there, they want to try to twist the story. So they try to convince people, oh yeah, that meeting they had was because Carl Icahn has shorts on GameStop. And that's potentially why Ryan Cohn maybe was reaching out to him. Bullshit. It's because they're planning one of the biggest fucking mergers and acquisitions that we've ever seen. And it requires a lot of money. All right. Again, what's the common saying? It takes money to buy whiskey. So we need money to be able to pull this off, and we need the right guys. So again, I mean, maybe he could, but I've never heard it or seen it confirmed from Icon himself that he has these shorts on the company. Okay.
And
because that came out a month after that the photo was taken. Someone made that shit up.
Yeah. That Scott Wapner guy, he's the one who was threatening Elon Musk in that interview. He's like, you know, that you're going to, like, because you said bad things about George Soros, like your shareholders are going to lose value. You know, you'll be breaking your fiduciary duty unless you retract this statement, you know, just basically threatening him. And so, yeah, he's clearly one of the people mainly pushing the narrative against us.
Yeah, no, I agreed. So taking a look at some of these options here, just so people out there who don't really fuck with options or understand what we're looking at, right here is your strike price. Okay, so that's what kind of you're looking at to be around the date of March 15th. Based off of this strike price, you kind of want it to be typically over your strike price to make some money. Now, the thing is that you can buy, as you can see here, $22 calls, $21 calls are up 14%. So in a sense, I'll give you guys an example of what my method is. Okay. Typically, I don't really tend to buy a lot of these super out of the money calls. Typically, I do buy a shitload of calls whenever I'm dealing with options, things like that. But it will depend on obviously the strike price and how far you buy them out. Now, here's the deal. Okay. You can buy a $22 call, okay, on GameStop, and the stock price doesn't even have to hit $22 for you to make a profit. That's the thing. I mean, as you can see, these $21 calls are selling for 14%, and the stock price of GameStop is at 14, right? A lot of things that come into play are things like IV and things like that. And, a lot of people out there who are familiar with short squeezes, things like that, how you can, buy a stock and the stock can run exponentially a couple 1,000%, things like that. That is essentially a quote unquote, a short squeeze. But what you can also have in terms of options is you can have an IV squeeze. Okay. One thing I was trying to reiterate the other day is that I had purchased $150 calls on ARM, okay? But I had purchased them one weekend prior to Monday, and I would have probably, to be honest with a lot of you out there, I would have put in, I think I put in 250 for Friday. Those didn't print. If I had rolled those 250s instead to Monday, okay, on ARM itself, just as a side play, just like $100, $200, I would have made a profit of nearly $89,000. You heard that right, $89K. A lot of what happens is that when these stock prices move so rapidly, okay, when you have like an increase of $20, $40, $50 a share in a day, the IV can squeeze, and the IV can squeeze to roughly 10,000%. The calls that I had for Friday, okay, if I had bought them for actually that following Friday, I would have been able to sell my calls for 10,000% per contract, fellas. Okay. You understand how big of a deal that is. So a lot of the times too, you can have a move in options where a stock price can move up $40, $50 and then come back down. And if you have a long enough leap on that option, they will not get obliterated, believe it or not. So a lot of this IV can really make you some money. And again, I'm not telling anyone out there to buy options. I'm just trying to have you guys understand why people like myself or Michael or anyone else out there who trades options can actually utilize them to their benefit. Again, you do not have to wait until this call is in the money to sell it. You can easily sell, as you can see, a $20 call for 25% of your money. Now, here's the other thing is if you are fucking with options and let's say the stock price does raise for GameStop, you buy a $15 call and all of a sudden your call option stock price goes to $20. You'd essentially take your amount of contracts that you have, which are multiplied by 100. So let's say you have 10 contracts, you multiply those by 100, you actually have 1,000 shares. Let's say if you bought a 10 call, let's say you bought 10 of these calls, which would cost you $1,000 on GameStop, okay, for March 15th. And let's say GameStop reaches $20 per share by the 15th. You would essentially take that difference of $20 a share to $15 call. You'd have $5 and you would multiply it by the amount of shares that you have. So if you put $1,000 into these calls for March, that'd be 1,000 shares of GameStop. You would essentially take the 1,000, multiply it by 5, add on a little bit of IV, and that would be your net profit. So typically about a 5x, 6x. Now, does it happen all the time? No, it doesn't. Okay. It does not happen all the time. Sometimes you lose. Sometimes there's all sorts of bullshit that happens in the market. The stock price gets shorted, things like that. So this is just how options are essentially utilized. And if you play them smart, you can most certainly double up your money. And again, like some of these are, when you see the stock, when you see the price 10 cents, 14 cents, these are in dollar amounts. So 105 would be $105 and so forth. So, I mean, I love options, man. They can be utilized if you play them right. You can really make an absolute killing, but you have to be prepared to lose your investment. They're way more riskier than trading shares. I mean, shares, at least if you're down money, you could potentially sell your shares for like a recovery. With options, it's a little more risky. I mean, they can literally go to straight zero. So, but I just wanted to, sorry for the lengthy lesson there, fellas. A lot of people just don't understand options, and that's the simplest way to explain them. If you really want to understand them, you have to like get into the Greeks and shit like that. I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. I don't understand a lot of the Greek stuff. I just buy degenerate calls. I buy calls close to the money, and it's more of a gut feeling for me. But a lot of the Greek stuff you do need to understand because you can get wiped the fuck out if you don't understand it. All right, April, just curious. Yeah, go ahead.
The sheer fact that institutions use shit tons of options and married calls and puts and a whole bunch of quote unquote covering via options, all these tricks they do, just the sheer fact that they do that with options tells us they are powerful. They are fucking powerful, and you get extra leverage. If I have $100 in cash, I can buy a few shares, or I can buy a whole lot more options that represent 100 shares each. That's crazy, That's called leverage, like the amount of power you can get per capital. So institutions abuse this shit all day long, every day.
Yes.
And like with market makers and even brokers can do it, internalizing with dark pools, they find extra ways to lever, gain more leverage from options. They are powerful as fuck, but they are also risky. Like, with the extra leverage comes extra risk. And the reason is very, very simple. They're time gated, right?
Yeah.
If you buy shares, like let's say I buy shares today, I buy a share in a stock and I think it's, it's worth $100, but you know what? Tomorrow it goes down to 50 or some shit. Oh, fuck. Well, I don't have to share it. I don't have to sell at 50, right? I can just sit and wait and hope they come back up to 100 at least.
Right.
You don't have a time constraint, right? Options you do, and that's why you get extra leverage, but that's also why you have extra risk, because they're gonna end and you have no time.
And that's why you sometimes see some of these people who post these plays on their option plays and they put in $1,500 and they make $125,000. And a lot of people out there are like, how the fuck do I do something like that? It's because you have to understand how these options work, you know, like Spurious says, if they can be utilized to your advantage, that's what the market is, man. It's about playing the market to your advantage and building your capital. That's what investing is about, fellas. Yes, is it nice getting rich in the process and maybe making money along the way and things like that? Abso-fucking-lutely, man. But the long-term goal for any investor out there should certainly be the building of your capital. I mean, that is what essentially the number one goal should be, is to build capital, right? That's the goal. So I do think that if people do understand it and tend to utilize options, they can most certainly do it to their advantage. And again, some people out there just want to buy shares, and that's the safest route. Shares, absolutely 100%. You can still fucking make a killer trades on shares, things like that. This is just upping the risk a little bit better, from like I guess like a poker table to like a slot machine is the best way to, I guess, describe it. But yeah, I mean, I'm bullish on GameStop, man, and more importantly, extremely bullish on IEP and also the dividend payout too. So again, I mean, you can't make this shit up. April 19th, $23 calls up 29%, $21 calls up 32%. So, I mean, the stock price isn't even close to 22, nor is it close to 27 at all. Yet people are trading these options right here for a significant profit. These right here, only a couple hands these traded, and you have a 52% increase. So sometimes these super out of the money calls, they can certainly make you money, man. So, let me see if there's anything else here before we start bringing the show to a close tonight. I think that's it for GameStop. I mean, I'm bullish on the fucking off-exchange volumes shrinking up, and it's looking good in my opinion. So IEP and also GameStop. Anything else you fellows want to add tonight? Michael, I think you have something in the backstage that you're sharing. If you want to go through it, then we can start bringing the show to a close tonight.
Yeah, just real quick. I have no idea like whether this guy's good or bad.
Who is this?
So it says Beyond the Horizon. This is the new let's see, senior vice president of Big Lots. I just thought I found it interesting because he worked for Hilco, right? Hilco did a lot of the liquidating, and also Sears and Overstock. And Big
What
Lots
are the odds
before that, and Hilco before that. So I don't know. He kind of just seems central to things, and is this about Beyond the Horizon, unveiling the evolution of space in retail, and harnessing the power of surprise and delight for merchant-led success. I don't know what it means, but I found it.
I mean, it's interesting, man. You have Loop Capital basically saying that Big Lots is worth a buck. I mean, me personally, I don't plan to play Big Lots. I have my kind of plays that I'm focused on, things like that. So that's kind of how I plan to treat it. And yeah.
Not just that, it was just the connection between Overstock and Sears and, Hilco, which did, they liquidated a lot of the merchandise at Bed Bath & Beyond. So it just seemed like kind of interesting, the proximity to our play, and just who knows what to make of it.
Yeah, right on. All right, well, we'll start bringing the show to a close. Let's take it over to Spurious. Spurious, let's get some closing thoughts. We still have slightly over 500 people tuning in tonight. Wow, 500, man. People on a Friday night, man. It's nearly midnight here. Some areas it's fucking 5, 6 in the morning, upwards of 2, 3 in the morning. Can't believe we have so many people tuning in tonight. Right on, man. Spurious, let's get some closing thoughts for these people still tuning in at home. What's something you like the good people at home to know? Let's hear it, man.
Thank you. I I usually don't hang around so long. I usually kind of say a piece and then leave. Thank you for so much time to just hang around and chip in and just
of course
shit with you guys. It was actually really fun. I I have been drinking tonight. I'm drinking at Carl's birthday, and I'm drinking because I fucking love this show.
Right on.
This is real.
That's what I like to hear, man.
For real.
Yeah.
Right like on. you know, it really is. Like, and I appreciate it, PP and Michael. Like, you guys do a fucking fantastic job of hosting. Like, you guys are good people. Clearly.
Right on, dude. Appreciate it, man. Well, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, just the very last little thing is just market makers and naked shorters need volume to work with in dark pools. So when you see volume shrinking overall, you know, day by day, week by week, month by month, when you see that trend is downward in total volume, that's actually good for us, the longs, because they need volume to work with to price manipulate in the dark pools, to mix and match orders, right? So over the short run, they can dominate, you know? Yeah. They can dominate short run. Yeah. But over the long run, volume is king, and, you know, real sentiment of the rest of the market that's not fucking naked shorting is king in the long run. So I do think, you know, you guys showed some really good charts tonight. IEP, GME, these other stocks that we are so damn sure by now are so artificial, right?
Yes.
As volume dies down, we get closer to big ass run-ups. If you look at the biggest run-ups in these shorted stocks, it's when volume really dwindles down to almost nothing. And then they don't have volume to work with to mix and match in dark pools to continue pushing price down. So yeah, you know, decreasing volume, good for us. Everything looks so good. And in my opinion, I'm not that big a TA guy. TA absolutely has its place. But for me in this play, I'm waiting on the fundamentals, man. Yes. I'm waiting on these announcements. These fucking dockets are king to me. When we get these fucking announcements, it's GG. It's game over. Nothing else matters. It doesn't matter what the algos are doing. It doesn't matter how much, you know. So I really feel the horizon is ours, and I'm looking forward to it. Cool. Good times.
Right on. Cool, man. We loved having you on the show. Chat, let's get some love for Spurious on his way out. Spurious, enjoy the weekend. Loved having you on the show. Hope to see you next week, man. Take care.
Thanks. See ya.
Oh, shit. Did ABC just leave? All right. ABC's out, I think. Did you put it backstage or did ABC do it?
No, I didn't.
Okay. Oh, ABC left. All right, Michael, let's get some closing thoughts on the way out as we bring the show to a close tonight. What's something you like the good people at home to know, man? Still 496 people tuning in tonight. Let's hear it, Michael.
Just excited watching everything unfold. Greatest show ever. And
right on.
I love you all and have a good extended weekend. And Monday is a holiday. So
cool. All right, right on. You heard it from Michael. Michael, enjoy the rest of the night. Enjoy the weekend. We'll see you next week. There you have it, man. The fucking PP show. We got together. We talked some DD. Hell, even Spurious showed up, a couple other people throughout the night, man, like Charles. You know, some interesting stuff tonight, fellas. I mean, again, I think something is happening here with GameStop. I think something is happening with IEP. Why is GameStop's off-exchange volume shrinking up, and as well as IEPs? 70% nearly we saw in IEP, down to 50%, and we saw nearly 60+% for GME, down 50% to 30% off-exchange. What the fuck is happening? Right? These are the types of things we need to be analyzing. These are the types of things we need to be looking at on a weekly basis. So with that being said, we're going to bring the show to a close tonight, man. Enjoy the fucking weekend, fellas. I hope you guys enjoyed the show tonight. And again, whether you donate, you watch the show, whatever it may be, you share the show, we appreciate having your support here at the PP show. Eventually, we will have our app fully finished. Hopefully, we can hopefully move the show onto our new developed app, which would allow us even more freedom of speech. I mean, again, you know, YouTube's great. Maybe there are certain things that, you know, obviously you have to be careful of, but we want a true freedom of speech platform, man. So hopefully when the PP app is finished, maybe there will be something incorporated, but we are focusing on the forum-based stuff for the PP app. Again, a lot of great ideas. I think you guys will like it once it is eventually completed. So with that being said, we're going to bring the show to a close, man. Appreciate your guys' support. If it's your first time tuning in, consider subscribing. Would love to have you as a subscriber. And if you guys don't mind leaving a like on the video, it does bump it up in the feed, so maybe more people can find out about GameStop, IAP, things like that. So with that being said, we're going to bring the show to a close. I love you all, man. Enjoy the weekend. You all deserve it. Keep your chins up, man. Things are turning. The tide is turning. And soon enough, man, we will prove many out there wrong, man. So with that being said, enjoy the weekend. I'll leave you guys off with a dildo slap on the way out. I'll see you guys Monday for our normal scheduled time from 7 to 10 CT. And with that being said, enjoy the night. Enjoy the weekend. Love you all. We'll see you then. Peace.